We made a video before about the problems with the Boy Scouts of America, but let me summarize the two big issues. For a long time, the Boy Scouts said that you cannot be a member if you were gay or if you were an atheist. If they found out you were one or the other, they kicked you out. Now, they're a private group, so they're allowed to do this, but there are times when they get plenty of support from the federal government and our public schools, and that's really where the problem was. Now, in 2013, they finally lifted the ban on gay scouts. And a couple of years later, they lifted the ban on gay scout leaders. And that's awesome. I love that. But the ban on atheists is still in effect. Now, here's why I bring this up. Consider the Unitarian Universalist Association. They have long been on the side of civil rights, and they have many non-religious members. In 1998, they cut all ties with the Boy Scouts because of all the bigotry. And even as these barriers came down over the past few years, the Unitarians kept their distance. They were showing solidarity with atheists. That's fantastic, and they deserve to be commended for that. But that all changed a couple of months ago when the Unitarians decided to reconcile with the Boy Scouts. They signed a memorandum of understanding that will lead to more cooperation between the two groups. In effect, the UUA said it would be able to establish Boy Scout troops in their own churches. So, what about the atheists? Well, their rationale at the time was that it would be easier for them to create change from the inside, so they wanted to work with the Boy Scouts. Now, maybe that sounds strategic, but plenty of people within the Boy Scouts fought against their anti-gay policies for years, and they didn't get anywhere. It wasn't until the public pressure from the outside became so overwhelming, really threatening the livelihood of so many of these troops, that the Boy Scouts finally decided to give way. And let's be honest, the Boy Scouts' anti-atheist bigotry isn't nearly as well known as their anti-gay bigotry. So that pressure just isn't going to be there from the outside this time around. So on a practical level, it's really hard for me to see how the UUA basically high-fiving the Boy Scouts will lead to any change in policy. Now, more recently, after a lot of internal pushback, the UUA clarified its policy with the Boy Scouts. They said that if atheists were in those Unitarian-affiliated troops, it was okay. They wouldn't be kicked out. But I'm not sure that's a good policy either. The Boy Scouts are basically saying, "Here, little doggy, have a treat. Now shut up." Meanwhile, all the other doggies are starving. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but the fact is, atheists are still being discriminated against by the Boy Scouts, unless they belong to the right church, which, if you think about it, just doesn't make that much sense. There are only two solutions here. Either the Boy Scouts drops its anti-atheist ban for everybody, or atheists and the people who claim to support us don't do business with the Boy Scouts until they change their ways. A Band-Aid isn't enough, and this temporary solution shouldn't be acceptable to anybody. It's just an attempt to silence some of the Boy Scouts' most vocal critics. Look, the Boy Scouts needs atheists far more than we need them. Let's not settle for some under-the-table concession. My name is Hemant Mehta, and I write at friendlyatheist.com. What do you want to see a video about? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll be sure to check it out. And don't forget to subscribe.